Gentlemen, welcome back to Mids from the Middle of the Midwest. I'm your host, Nixon the Dark. Today, a little thought experiment. We've been discussing more and more how intersexual dynamics intersects with politics and culture on this channel. Follow along with this thought experiment in the form of a question. Has the left become a men's movement? The left, which has famously become the party of women over the last 20 years or so, hard shift in the direction of feminism, feminist values, so to speak, over the last couple of decades. But imagine, if you will, that they're actually now a men's movement. We have said repeatedly how women organize is always conducive to being usurped from within because they welcome all in and then they tend to excommunicate, but the rules for excommunication, the rules for alienation don't follow necessarily the same pattern. Observe culture and you observe the trans movement take over the left and become by far the most dominant voice within the entire political left in America and perhaps the world. Most of the biggest voices that are featured on the left tend to be men, and that includes those who identify as women. They're the biggest voices, the loudest voices on the left, especially the cultural left, are actual men, some of whom identify as women. Next, think about what they're fighting for. The two hugest issues that are policy goals of the left in this country are to liberate immigrants and allow them to be treated as citizens, whether they're legal or not. And the other is to acquire rights for women, rights and benefits for women. Now, they've been doing that for the last 30 years or so. But now that the trans movement has taken over the left, all of those women's rights are being conferred upon biological males. As far as immigration goes, that more than likely benefits men, at least insofar as the ones who are immigrating, because most of them are men. Men are the ones who adventure into the unknown lands of America, or especially Europe, and go into these new places and all of the various social ills that the conservative side of the aisle are pointing out are all being committed by men. But yet you have an entire political party now fanatically devoted to giving these guys who are here illegally the same rights that any natural born American would have. But more importantly and more symbolic is the fact that trans rights are now women's rights, and those benefit biological males more than they actually benefit women. When you look at these two factors, both of those strongly indicate that the left is once again finding its masculine roots. And here is the coup de grace of this little thought experiment we're going through. What is the biggest value on the left these days? What's the biggest value? Because they don't really play by Judeo-Christian morality. So morality is not really a value, so to speak, for the political left. What would you say is the spiritual hook for the political left? You guessed it, male violence. Individuals taking guns and going and mowing down people who disagree with them. Male violence is the highest virtue and the greatest signifier of character in the political left. The left is now the home of toxic masculinity. Thanks for listening. Thanks for indulging this little thought experiment. Like, subscribe, and final thought. The first point I made here was that most of the loudest voices on the political left are men. That was a bit of a sleight of hand. There are plenty of female voices on the political left, and a lot of them are making a fuck ton of noise. But here is the real irony. All of these women who are shouting from the rooftops in favor of these leftist causes, they are doing the bidding of toxic males. They are doing the bidding of men who are usurping them in every way and taking their place. Welcome to the age of psychosis, and also welcome to the age of understanding the male sex drive and hypergamy. The male sex drive takes whatever opportunity it can, whether it's the use of trans rights or just plain muscle, and hunts, 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 and doesn't let women get in its way of its goal. That is the nature of the male sex drive. That is the propulsive engine that's moving the left forward, is the male sex drive. Also, welcome to the age of understanding politics through the lens of hypergamy. These women who are doing the bidding of men are still getting exactly what they want because they want the attention and the validation that comes from their status more than they actually want anything that resembles rights for women. Give it some thought, see how this plays out in your life and your observations. Take care.